Hello there. Greetings from Zerzex IT Training and Projects. So in this video, we are going to discuss about another type of disease called cardiovascular disease. And we'll try to predict the cardiovascular disease using machine learning algorithms. So as far as the project is concerned, I have divided the entire project in three parts. In first part, we are going to discuss about how to design the machine learning model. As far as machine learning model is concerned, I'm going to try with different types of algorithm like decision tree, random forest algorithm, naive Bayes classifier, logistic regression, KNN, or as well as SVM. So after the successful completion of the model, next what I will do in the second part, I'm going to deploy this one using Django of framework. In the last part, I'm going to collect all the data of the users, and I'm going to store that data using PostgreSQL, which is object-oriented type of an database. Similarly, after the successful completion of this video, you can try with the different other algorithms like XGBoost algorithm. Even you can try with CNN also. So let's dive into the hands-on session, but before that one, it's very important to know what exactly the CVD is. CVD stands for cardiovascular disease. Generally we call CVD. Okay, so it involves generally, this disease related to heart and blood vessels. Okay, the blood vessels. There are two types here. One is called CAD. CAD is nothing but coronary artery diseases such as angina. Angina is nothing but the chest pain, heart attack, heart failure, etc. This comes under angina. Next we have myocardial infarction, which is commonly called heart attack. Okay, already in my previous videos, I guess we have discussed, we have designed the model, okay, to predict the heart attack. So this is kind of another type of the disease which is related to heart attack, I would say. Regarding about CVD, there are three types here, but if you search in internet, there are many types of the types of CVD you can find here. So I have listed out some of the types of CVD. In that, first one is called coronary heart attack disease. Okay, it occurs when the flow of oxygen, okay, reach blood to the heart muscles is blocked. When the oxygen as well as the circulation of the blood stops, okay, or if there is a chances of reduction, okay, so there may be a chances of CVD called coronary heart disease. Okay, as I mentioned here, angina, nothing but chest pain. These are some of the symptoms of this disease: chest pain, heart attack, heart failure. Okay, symptoms I would say. Now next is strokes and TIAs. Stroke is where the blood supply to part of the brain is cut off, when can causes brain damage or possibly death. Brain damage, this is one more type of disease, okay, type of symptoms I would say, which fall under the category of CVD. Peripheral arteries, okay, arterial diseases. So this occurs when there is a blockage in the arterial to the limbs, usually the legs. Similarly, like when there is a blood blockage or there is a reduction in the circulation of the blood, there may be a chances of CVD. Okay, aortic diseases. Aortic diseases are a group of conditions affecting the aorta. This is the largest blood vessel in the body, which carries blood from the heart to the rest of the body. Okay, rest of the body. Okay, there is the concept called systolic blood pressure. Okay, systolic blood pressure and diastolic blood pressure. So systolic blood pressure, it try to pump. It generally this occurs in the heart part. Okay, so the outer part layers, when the blood pumps outer part, external part of the heart. Okay, generally we say that okay, systolic blood pressure, and when the blood pumps inside the heart, generally we say diastolic blood pressure. We will try to discuss. I think in my data set already we have that the values records, and we will try to see, okay, by using different algorithms, how to predict it. Anyways, you are familiar with, okay, hope you are cleared with this concepts. To know more about CVD, you can search in Google. You can do a lot of researches. As far as this project is concerned, okay, domain experts are required. So we can explore this area. We can explore this area as far as the health sector is concerned. As far as Xerxes is concerned, we mainly focus on the health sector area. If you check our websites, so we have designed a lot of the projects related to Tableau for the data visualization. If you check our machine learning, the projects, we have 50 plus projects. Next, we have designed NLP also in healthcare sectors. Already we have designed around 6 to 7 project cycles. Have a look on this. But all the codes, some of the basic codes are available in the internet, but we have explored these areas. Okay, explored these areas, and we are doing a lot of researches. We support the students, okay, to modify those the already existed the models in the internet, and we make them to, we train them to publish the paper and take this research to the next level. Next is regarding about the causes of the CVD. Obviously, the causes of the CVD is high blood pressure, one cause. Next, we have smoking. Okay, so the chances of having heart attack when it comes to smokers are high. High cholesterol, obesity, okay, the oily items, diabetes. There may be a chances. Okay, if you have diabetes, there may be a chances of CVD. Next, we have inactivity. Okay, obesity, abuse. Okay, being overweight or abuse. So generally, if you consult the doctor, they say, okay, diet, they suggest for the diet. Okay, they suggest for the exercise. Okay, to reduce these contents in the body or to avoid. Okay, these are some of the causes of the CVD. Hope you are clear. So what I have done here is already I am using Anaconda Navigator. Okay, so Anaconda Navigator in most of my projects I have used it. Okay, so now next is regarding about the data set. So what I have done, I have taken the data set from Kaggle. Okay, it's a clean data set, so you need not to worry about feature engineering or cleaning data. So most of the records are okay, efficient here. Okay, cardiovascular disease data set. So I will drop the link in my I'll drop this link in the below description, so you can download directly from there. Okay, from the Kaggle. So as far as this data set is concerned, it's showing like 2.81 MB, and I have around 70,000 records here. Okay, 70,000 records. I think for to design the base model, it's more than sufficient. Okay, so later on when the clients share the data, so you can use and you can remodify your model. So as far as columns features are concerned, I have ID. So ID, as far as ID is concerned, I don't think so that we require this one. We'll try to drop this one. Okay, when I start designing the model. Next we have age. So as far as age is concerned, they have mentioned the age in terms of number of days. This can be an exploration, so you can convert it into number of years also. So in my project, what I have done, I have taken as it is. So you can do, okay, you can convert into number of days here. Gender, obviously 1 for male, 2 for female here. So you can convert that one into zeros and 1 also if you want. Height, okay, when it comes to height, it is in centimeters, 168 centimeter, 156 centimeter, etc. Next we have weight also. So when it comes to height and weight, okay, so it is not so correlated with my CVD. We'll try to discuss, we'll see, okay, how they are correlated with each other. So what I have done, okay, I have converted by using height and weight. So I have converted that one into BMI. We'll discuss about this one the moment when I start executing, when I start cleaning the data set. In the same way, we have next, okay, as I told you, systolic blood pressure. Systolic blood pressure is nothing but when the heart pumps the blood from the external layer. Okay, so that is called systolic blood pressure. Diastolic blood pressure is nothing but when the heart pumps inside, okay, from the inner layer. Okay, so diastolic blood pressures also we have here. Cholesterol. So as far as cholesterol is concerned, we have three values: normal, above normal, and well above normal. 1, 2, 3 here. Okay. So next is we have next glucose. Okay. Glucose also you can see here. Glucose we have, glucose values we have 1, 2. Glucose also normal, above normal, well above normal. 1, 2, 3 here we have. Smoke. Okay, 0 for no and 1 for yes here. Okay, now next is similarly we have the y values. Okay, y values is nothing but our y value, nothing but the predicted data here. You can see here y value. Okay, cardio is nothing but the y value. Along with this one, alcohol also we have, active also we have. We'll try to discuss about this one. What I have done, I have directly downloaded this data set from this link. Okay, cardiovascular disease data set. So next is what I have done. Okay, I have opened my Jupyter notebook. I have created one simple project. If you are new to the Anaconda Navigator, so what you can do, directly go to official site of Anaconda Navigator. So based upon the operating system, you can download your Anaconda Navigator. Now next is, so you will get the dashboard. So in dashboard, you can click on Jupyter notebook. So what I have done, I have created one folder. Okay, nothing to keep all my records using folder. So my folder name is here. You can see cardiovascular disease called CVD. So inside that, I have created one simple notebook with Python 3 here. So you can see this is the main notebook called cvd.i. Okay, pynb file. Let's try to work on this. Already I was practicing this. So just to avoid typing the program will take a lot of time. So what I have done, I already have typed the program. I'll try to explain this. Okay, if you are new to this, you need to do a lot of hard work. If you are familiar with Python, okay, for them it's very easy. Okay, but don't worry, Python is very easy. You can learn within 2 to 3 months. Okay, it's not so difficult compared to C, C++, Java programming language. Next, what I have done, so basic libraries I have uploaded here. NumPy as a NP for linear algebra, pandas for CSV file IO. So when it comes to Panda comes with a lot of options when it comes to data processing. Next, for the visualization, I have used Matplotlib as PLT. Similarly, for the visualization, I'm using two more here, SNS, Seaborn and CC5. Okay, for let's say violin, I want violin graph, so we can do it using C1, etc. sklearn, obviously the most of my algorithms are stored in sklearn, so I'm going to import sklearn and OS for input and output operation. Now already I have downloaded the data set and the data set is available. What I have done, I have uploaded the data set here. So you can see here cardio_train.csv. so this is in the CSV format. Okay, so CSV format. So what I have done, it's, remember, this is in the same folder. If you are storing in some other location, you have to give the path while calling the data set in CSV here. Okay, so Python, Jupyter notebook. Now I have called one variable called CVD. CVD is my one variable, and I'm reading that CSV file by using pandas PD. And to read CSV file, you can use read_CSV. So this is the name of my file, cardio_train.csv, and I'm separating using the semicolon here. So if you check the data set, so all the data records are separated with a semicolon. That okay, so I have separating with a semicolon. If you want to check the data, okay, if you want to check the data, you can use CVD directly, or else you can use cvd.head. So the head will display the 5 records here. Okay, so first 5 records. In the same way, you can try with the tail also. So if you want to check last records, so you can check with the tail. Okay, cvd dot tail, so it gives you okay last 5 records of the data set. Next comes data preprocessing. Okay, EDA, exploratory data analysis. Okay, so here info, I just wanted to check the formats of my data sets here. So as far as the formats of the data set is concerned, ID is there. I have, these are the columns actually. So these are the columns. I have around 13 columns here. Index starts from 0. So out of 13 columns, ID, age, gender, height, weight. Okay, so next we have systolic blood pressure. Now next is diastolic blood pressures. Okay, all this except weight, all are in the integer format. Integer int is 64, since my operating system is 64, so it's showing int 64. Rest weight is in the floating point value, and the memory usage is around 6.9 MB. So okay, so now I got some information about the data, the format of the data. Okay, so next is it's time to check whether is there any null value, since I have downloaded from Kaggle. So what I have experienced in Kaggle, most of the data are, you will get clean data. In some of the projects, okay, you need to do some EDA. Okay, so you need to pre-process the data. So as far as this data set is concerned, so this is a clean data set. Okay, so there are no null value, but still we need to work a lot on the data sets. Okay, let's see. Okay, I'll try to discuss in the correlation. Okay, what are the problem we are facing as far as this data set is concerned. Now if you want to check whether is there any empty values, null cells, you can use this method is null equal to sum. Okay, so it gives me, okay, it gives the number of the cells, empty cells here. Now next is, obviously if you compare this data set, what I have observed here is I have the index 0 0 0 0 by default in Python programming language. Okay, it comes with the index. When you compare with this one with the Julia programming language, Python indexing starts from 0, but in the Julia programming language indexing starts from 1. ID also, if you compare this one, both are same here. So that means obviously I don't want ID here, ID column. Okay, so I'm going to drop the ID column. So I have dropped the ID column, cvd dot drop ID, access is equal to 1. Okay, so that means access is equal to in place 2. That means I'm going to drop all the records. Again, after dropping, drop method you can use here. So after dropping, so again you try to check the records. So the moment when you check the record, so you get all the columns except ID. ID is no more here. So that means I have already dropped here. Now almost did I explain now? Okay, so ID, I have dropped the ID here. Now it is a time to divide this entire data set in terms of independent variable and dependent variable. Okay, so as far as independent variables are concerned, you can consider age, gender, height, weight, API high, low, cholesterol, okay, glucose, smoke, alcohol, active. So you can consider this as your X variable, nothing but the features you can say. Now cardio is nothing but the dependent feature. Okay, you can also call the target function in machine learning. Okay, so next is that work we need to do it, but before that I think it's important, since I don't have any empty cells here, but there may be a chances of having duplicate values. Okay, so I'm going to check whether I have duplicate value. Obviously as far as this data set is concerned, okay, so this contains around 70,000 records. Okay, so when it comes to 70,000 records, the possibilities of having the duplicate records are also more here. So what I have done here is I'm using just one print statement. So use print statement. So I'm just dropping one message, simple message. There is, okay, so number of the values, okay, the duplicate value, okay, duplicate values in the data frame. Now I'm using the method called dot format. Under dot format, cvd is nothing but my variable, my actual data are stored. So I'm going to use duplicated method, to check the duplicate values. Okay, so it gives me the total count, how many duplicate values are available in my data set. So it has given me there are 25 duplicate values in my data frame. Okay, so now next what we need to do is, so obviously I don't want all the duplicate values. So what I will do, I will try to replace this 25 records to 1. Okay, all the duplicate values are replaced with the 1. Okay, so show us just one duplication of the 24 records. So duplicated, what I have done here is, okay, so I'm again calling cvd is nothing but I have called one variable called duplicated. Cvd dot duplicated is a method here, keep false here. So next I'm calling some features here. Okay, so just to have to sort the values to see the duplicate values clearly in terms of age, gender and height here. Okay, ascending, so false here. So next is duplicate head. So once after successful execution of this, okay, so you can call duplicated dot head because my now the data is stored in duplicated. Okay, duplicated variable dot head, it display me the first 5 records here in the ascending orders. So have a look on this. We have some duplicated values here. So if you check the id here 2677, so I have the duplicate value. Okay, 45748, I have the duplicate value. Have a look on 69, 120, 80 duplicates values are available. In the same way 21945, I have the duplicate values. Similarly I have, okay, so rest others, all the duplicate values are there. In Python it's very easy to work on data mining. Even you can try with Tableau Prep. Tableau Prep is also one of the best tool in the world, okay, for data mining. Okay, and Python also you can use, but the problem with the Python is if you are using pandas, so the pandas, in using pandas you can panda will work fine when till 200 GB. So when the data exceed more than 200 GB, okay, so we need to migrate to some other library like Dark or PySpark library systems. Anyways, my data is just 2 MB or 3 MB maximum, so I will not be facing that problem. Okay, but when it comes to real-time projects, okay, obviously the data, it keeps on increasing, so we need to check all those factors, okay, before processing the data. Now next is drop the duplicate values. I'm going to drop the duplicates value by calling the method called drop duplicates in place of true. That means the entire record I'm going to drop. Okay, so after dropping that duplicate value just in the single line, okay, so it's very so easy. Just using the single line, I'm going to drop all the duplicate values and I'm going to display that one. Okay, I'm going to display that one. There is, okay, how many number of duplicates values are available, values in the data frame, and I'm calling the method called dot format. cvd is nothing but my variable duplicated dot sum. It gives me the total sum of the duplicate value. So after dropping, obviously there should not be any duplicate values here, so there are 0 duplicate values here. Now next is in the same way, okay, some missing values. Okay, let's try to work on missing values. Missing values for the data frame is dot, okay, null, sum and sum. Okay, so missing values in the data frame is frame. Already we have discussed about this in this section, I guess. Okay, have a look on this. There is null sum. Okay, same thing I'm repeating again here. Okay, is missing value. So there are no missing values here. Okay, so this is one of the major steps. Okay, you need to consider or you need to focus more when you are working with machine learning, the projects, because these are fundamental things, okay, which are required, okay, before designing any the machine learning products using Python programming language. You take Julia programming language, whatever the language it is. Next is, let's talk about the statistics. Okay, here to have the statistics, what I have done, I have called one variable called x. Okay, and I'm calling my okay, the data is stored in cvd here, cvd, and I'm going to copy that data. But in this case, while copying, what I have done, so I have used deep equal to true. So deep equal to true is nothing but I'm just okay, referring that data. Okay, referring the address of the data. Okay, not the complete copying, referring the address. Suppose if you want to refer the address of the data, you can use deep equal to true. Now obviously for statistics we have one method called describe. So now the data is where in my x variable, x dot describe, so it gives me the total count. So when it comes to age, this is the total count of the age. Mean value is this one, next standard deviation is this one, minimum is this one, 25%, 50%, nothing but the median here, 75% and the maximum values. Okay, this is with respect to age. In the same way, if you take all the features like gender, height, weight, okay, next we have systolic blood pressure, diastolic blood pressure. Okay, so all those values are I've given here. Now next is um, let's try to analyze. Okay, let's try to analyze this data. First and foremost, hold on. Yes. Next is, so after okay calculating the statistic values, so now you can see here. Okay, it's not so clear because we have the data here. It is in the form of numerical values. If you check age, okay, age, you check height, height. Next we have weight, 74.20, 164.35. We have 19,468. Okay, in the same way you take systolic blood pressure. Okay, API, have a look on 128 we have. Next we have 96 we have. Okay, so this there may be a chances of having outliers here. Now if you compare this 164 with 19,468, so when you are converting this one in terms of graphs, so what happened? So 19,468, the range of 19,068 will be far away from 164 here. So obviously there may be a chances of having the outlier. So we need to work on that outliers. So to work on outliers, what I have done, so I have used standardization technique. Okay, so standardization technique is nothing but we are scaling all the values. Okay, in same way. Okay, so what I have done, I have taken one list. In list, what I have done, okay, I have taken the features like age, height, weight. Okay, now next we have systolic blood pressure, low. Okay, and diastolic blood pressure. Okay, so I'm using the method called standardization. So to make the values in a to bring the values in the same format. Okay, so near, so that we can avoid that the problem of outliers. The next is, so I'm creating standardization. I have created one variable called x standardization. I'm copying the values which is in the x value, copy again. Okay, and I'm just trying to refer this using the deep equal to true. Next I'm calling the list to have all the values, records of age, height, width. Okay, so and so on. Next what I have done here is, okay, I have called all the columns which is in x standard. X standard is having my this copy values. Okay, so the copy values, all the records. So next is I'm dividing that one. So I'm taking the mean of that. Okay, mean of that. Next I'm dividing that one with the standard deviation. Have a look on this. So mean with respect to the standard deviation. So I'm dividing it. Okay, mean with respect to standard deviation. Let's say 19,468 divided by 2467. Okay, but before that one I'm doing some the subtractions also here. Okay, subtraction. Okay, actual record minus mean of that record. Next I'm dividing that one with the standard deviation. Next is I'm retaining that value, okay, to x standard here. Okay, so next is x standardization technique. Okay, so I'm going to do all for all the records here. Okay, using this loop, for loop statement. Now next is, if you want to display that x standardization dot head, you use the method called x standardization head. So it gives me the values here. Have a look on this. Now if you check this one, age, height, okay, weight, API, okay, almost it looks same here. Okay, almost the ranges are same here. So there may be a not much the problem of outlier. Okay, but still we'll try to check this one in terms of graphs now, but because I'm not so happy even after performing standardization, so what I have done, so I'm going to use melt out data. Okay, so multi-box graph I'm going to use here. As far as multi-box graph is concerned, what I have done, you can call this melt, okay, which is in pandas. Okay, now next is called x standard frame. Okay, you take the frame here. Now next is cardio is nothing but my y data. Next I'm going to call some x list. X list is having my all the variable records here, features, values and column level is nothing but 8. That means I'm just configuring my the graph here. Now have a look on this. So I have got this type of data. Let's try to convert this one in terms of graph. Let's see how the graph will look like. So here in x-axis, what I have done, I have taken all the features, y values. Okay, now next cardio I have taken melted data. Okay, so next is melted data is nothing but already what we have done in feature extraction. Next, what you can see is, have a look on this. So it gives me the, okay, is the graph like this. Okay, and the graph is, okay, x graphs I have given. Okay, I have taken. So it gives me outlier. When it comes to outlier, so you can see still there are some outliers here. Have a look on this. We have the outliers even after pre-processing the data. I have the outliers. Okay, again what I'm going to do here is, yeah, there are some more outliers in the data set, but seen above there is an unusual outlier in a systolic blood pressure and diastolic blood pressure features. So now what I will do, I'll try to use the concept of lower bound and higher bound. Okay, upper bound. Let us calculate the lower bound and higher bound or upper bound of systolic blood pressure as well as the diastolic blood pressure. So I've again taken the list AP high and AP low. Okay, so boundaries I have set here, lower bound and upper bound. We create the empty. First let's try to create the empty data frames here. So I've created, okay, using the standard deviation techniques here, or else you can also say the normal distribution techniques I'm using here. Okay, quartile deviation Q1, let's say you try to convert, you take the entire data sets. So after converting after taking the entire data set, you try to convert that one into bar chart. Okay, so after converting into bar chart, next generally what I am doing, I'm going to convert that one into bell curve. So after converting into bell curve, you take the mean and keep the mean as a 0. Okay, 0. Now next you take the quartile here. So I've taken 3 quartile, Q1, Q2, Q3. So mean is nothing but the mean, the highest peak, whatever the highest peak you will get in bell curve. Okay, so that is going to mean. So I'm going to divide that one in the quartile. Q1 plus, Q1 minus. Similarly, Q2 plus, Q2 minus here. So I have taken Q1 and Q3 here. Q1 25% and Q3 75% it is going to give. Now in y-axis what you'll get the probabilistic values here. So lower bound, so I'm subtracting that one with 1.5 with IQR. IQR is nothing but Q3 minus Q1. So Q3 is having 75% of that record, okay, particular record, minus subtract that one with the Q1. Okay, so we are going to get the outer boundary. Next is, okay, so the boundary lower bound, I'm going to store that one in lower bound as well as the upper bound. Okay, so you can see here lower bound, when it comes to 90% it's showing. Okay, lower bound when it comes to systolic blood pressure, and when it comes to diastolic blood pressure it is giving, okay, 65%. Upper bound 170 and lower bound for lower bound 105. So that means almost for some extent I would say, okay, so we can clear the outlier, the problem what we have in our data set. We can select the index of the outlier data by using the boundaries we calculated. Normally we should analyze both upper outliers as well as below or lower outlier. In this case I considered to, okay, handle just upper because of their extremely higher value. So let's try to consider the upper values, okay, because it is having the highest values here. So I have done that one, I have counted. Now what I have done, I have counted this one, how many outliers we have. When it comes to 1, okay, so we have cardio 1, we have 2025, and when it comes to 0 we have 388. One more thing what I have analyzed here is, if you convert this entire data set, okay, so similarly you take 83% of the data is having 1, that means the people are suffering from cardio, okay, or CVD I would say. Only 0%, let's say around 17% of the data says that, okay, the people are not suffering from the cardio, but there is a chances of imbalance, okay, data set here. So again we need to pre-process this imbalanced data sets. So you can take this one as an assignment. if you are interested, you can export this data set. But in our real-time projects, we have done it. Okay, so by using impute technique, okay, so we can convert this one into a balanced data set. Next is what I have done. uh, yeah, next we have cardiovascular disease is present in 83% of the outer data, as for just now what I said. Okay, because of the uh, epi high and low symbolize high blood pressure. The rate of the disease is consistent with the real life. Okay, so now next is what we have done. Outlier, total outlier count I have done. So total outlier count, it is giving 993 here. Next is what I have done. X value, I have used one convert, okay, constructor to convert the filter object to the Python list. So whatever we have filtered here, 993, the outliers. Okay, so I'm going to use, okay, the filters objects. Okay, and sorry, constructor I'm going to use, and I'm going to store that one in the list of X here. Next, most important, correlation matrix, how the features are correlated with the dependent data as well as the independent data. Okay, so as far as dependent data is concerned, yeah, uh, correlation. So correlation, for correlation, what I have, generally I use heat map, okay, to correlate the features with the dependent data, okay, dependent value. And even it will help us to check how the features are correlated with each other, or independent data are correlated with each other. So this is the graph correlation core. You can use this CORR method. X is having my data, I'm creating two variable. Okay, I'm going to use subplot, figure size is 15,15. Next, I'm calling my heat map. Heat map is available in Seaborn. Core, you call annotation true. Next, dot 3f is nothing but three floating point values. One you can see here, 151. Okay, so 3f, if you want 4 you can have 4, if you want 2 you can have 2r. Line width is 0.5, that is nothing but the padding between the two cells here. X, okay, so that is nothing but the x and y axis. Now if you check, have a look at, okay, just shift and enter it, so you'll get the graph like this. So if you check this, okay, so one thing what I have observed is age. If you check the age with respect to cardio is nothing but my independent variable, dependent variable. Age with cardio, age is highly correlated with the cardio. Say, yeah, obviously it should be, because what I have seen, heart attacks, most of the time the people who are having 40, 45 plus, or 50, 55 plus, okay, so there may be chances of having the heart attack, CVD systems, okay, CVD disease. Okay, so age is highly correlated here. But in the same way, gender, there is not much I cannot expect more accuracy, because gender is not highly correlated, because there may be chances male or female. Okay, so age major factors a lot. Height and width, when it comes to height and width, height is not so correlated. Weight is also not so correlated, but we can use BMI. Okay, I'll try to convert using height and width. So I'll try to, using height and width, I'll try to create one more feature, let's say BMI. Okay, body index mass. Okay, so we'll try to discuss about that one. Now next is when it comes to systolic blood pressure, yeah, systolic blood pressure and diastolic blood pressures, these are highly correlated. Okay, so have a look on this. Blood pumping of the blood, 2.4, okay, 0.240, but this isn't 39%, 32% is it gives. They are highly correlated with respect to my independent data here. Okay, cholesterol 2.5, glucose not much correlated. Now next is, this is also smoke and alcohol is also not so correlated. Active is also not so correlated. Okay, so when it comes to these three features, let's say this, okay, low and high blood pressure and the age is going to give me the highest accuracy. I'm expecting highest accuracy from those features. Now next, as I told you, what I have done, height height and weight. So what I have done, okay, so using this height and weight, okay, I have created one more feature here. I'm going to create one more feature called body mass index. So if you want to calculate the body mass index, uh, we can use what I've done. I've defined one variable called BMI calculator. So next what I have done, I'm going to return the value, let's say W divided by H is the square. Okay, so BMI, we have done it. So if next what I will do, okay, so here for to create the BMI, uh, I have created one feature called BMI. I'll talk about it. You can see here BMI. So I have created one BMI. So I'm using the formula to create the BMI. That is nothing but weight divided by height divided by 100 the whole square. Okay, so if you take, imagine height is, say height is 168, weight is 62. That means 62 divided by 168 divided by 100. Now calculate 168 divided by 100. 168 divided by 100, nothing, then whole square. Okay, well, 168 divided by 100, which is nothing but 1.682 or 1.68 also you can say. So 1.68 the whole square. So you are going to get around 2.88 something. So now 62 divided by 2.822 or something you will get. So the value is of the BMI is 21.96 here. So I have created new feature here, BMI, which is nothing but body mass index here. Okay, using those two features, height and width. Now you can see here. So I have created. That means I got it. This one I got. Now if you check with the correlation heat map, okay, this is obviously going to highly correlated. So that means since this was not giving much, I was not expecting as per my correlation heat map index. Okay, it was not so correlated with my dependent value. So I have created one more BMI. So it is giving one better values compared to height and width here. Now next is, after that, did gender is also important here. So far you might have seen, I guess, in all the machine learning models, developers, they use 0 and 1, okay, to represent gender or Boolean values they give. But here one I have mentioned here, one for the male and 2 for the female. But the problem here is it is in the weights here. Okay, it takes the weights. Suppose let's say it calculates in terms of weight, it will not considered as a gender. Okay, so if you 1 and 2, okay, 2 is double than 1. So that means the moment when the algorithm calculates, the value may varies here. Okay, so we need to indicate that, we need to tell the algorithms, different algorithms. Okay, 1 stands for gender, let's say male, okay, and 2 stands for the female here. Same thing I have done here, detecting gender of the patients. I have taken two variable A and B. Gender I have taken, gender is in X class. So if it is 1, okay, so height, mean value I have taken. In the same way, mean values I have taken. If A is greater than B, gender male. If gender equal to male, gender 2 equal to female here. In the same way here, else vice versa. Print gender 1, okay, plus gender, that means nothing but the female and male. Gender 1 is a female and gender 2 is a male. Sorry, 1 stands for female here and 2 stands for male here. Okay, sorry for that. Okay, so now next is, okay, X gender we need to divide. If value is 2, okay, so if the value is 2, we need to make it, okay, so we need to tell that, okay, so I'm going to divide that one with the 2 here. Gender equal to 2, so that means it should categorize them into 1 and 2, because of 2 is always numerically bigger than 1. The total model would take into that and give a bigger ratio to men for having a diseases. So I have divided that one. Now next is, it's time for pre-processing the data. So if we interpret the Violin plot, so I'm going to use Violin plot here. Have a look on this. If you want to design the Violin plot, for a standard scalar I'm using, okay, standard scalar means nothing but all the values. So I'm scaling it up. So I'm bringing that all the records, okay, to some specific clusters, okay, using the standard scalar system. So the median and quartile of BMI distribution of the patient is slightly higher than the non-patients here. Okay, so cardio, I'm using ID cardio features and the values here, and straight away I'm displaying the Violin graph by using this Violin plot method here. Okay, rotation 90 for my x tricks, nothing but the values here, what you can see here 90. So have a look on this 1 and 0 I have rotated in 1 and 0 I have rotated in 90 degree. Okay, so now next is yeah, BMI distribution patient is slightly higher than the non patients here. Next is it's time to split the data, preparing the data set. So we can remember this is just an in the base level I have pre-processed the data. So there are a lot of things are required here. uh, we can explore this data, okay, for the next levels also. Now next is those who are looking for projects, final year projects, they can approach us. We train them, and we take this project to the next level. We make them to publish the papers, and they can explore, okay, this projects along with our team. Now next is it's time for pre-processing the data set. So here I need to split the data in terms of x and y. So y in y what I have taken, now the data is in x here. So y is nothing but my independent variable. Okay, so sorry, it's a dependent variable. Okay, nothing but my target function. Cardio is a target function here. I have two values, 0 and 1. 0 means no, 1 means yes. So as far as I have stored that one in y. Now y shape I have around 68,983 data. That means 999 out of which some duplicate values were there missing. Okay, duplicate values, outlier values. So we dropped those values. So out of 70,000 records, now I'm remaining with 68,983 records. Now in the same way, X is already having all the complete set of the data. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to drop cardio. Cardio is my dependent variable here. So the entire record I'm going to drop. So I'm remaining with this. So this is going to be my feature now. Okay, and while deploying this model using Django, so I'm going to fetch all these values from the clients. So after fetching all these values from the clients, I'll try to append these values. I'll try to give this value to the model. Okay, so the model will predict whether the patient is having CVD or not. Now next is to split common procedure I'm going to follow here. So model selection, train, test, split. Now random test I have given 42, you can change also, and 20% of the data I'm going for the testing purpose. Rest of the 80% I'm using it for training the model. Normalization, next the goal of normalization is to change the values of numerical column into the data set used to use a common scale without distorting the difference in the range of the values and losing the information. I don't want to lose the information, so normalization technique also I'm going to use here. It's pretty straightforward. Xtrain, xtest, already I have called here xtrain, xtest. Okay, call normalization. Okay, normalize the data, bring the data in a normal format. Next store that one in xtrain and xtest. Okay, x normalize. Next is, because the entire data set, x normalize means entire feature, I'm going to normalize it. Next it's time to call the different algorithm. As I told you in the beginning itself, I'm going to use different algorithms here. Let's say decision tree. It takes a lot of time, so if you are passing the records one by one. So what I have done, so I have called at a time all the five the algorithms here: decision tree classifier, random forest classifier, which is one of the best and the favorite algorithm, okay, of the developers, k-neighbor classifier. Next we have SVM, support vector machine, Bayesian classifier, okay, which works on probability concepts, Gaussian NB, okay, generally we use here. So I'm calling all those methods in variable like DEC for decision, random forest for REN, KNN for k-neighbor algorithm classifier, SVM for support vector machine, knife for Navier Bayes classifier. Now next is I have created the models. I'm using dictionary here. This is the key and this is the value. Okay, so decision tree is a key. This is the value. I'm going to store the value in DEC. Similarly, random forest, RAN, KNN, KNN, SVM, SVM, Navier Bayes. Okay, and I'm going to store the value, store the value inside the variable called score here. One by one, I'm going to pass the training data as well as the testing. Okay, training data of X as well as the value for all the algorithm. Decision tree I'll take through the key values, I'll pass. Then through the key I will pass. Okay, through the key I'll fetch the algorithm. Next I'll already the data. Okay, I'll try, sorry, model dot fit. Okay, I'll try to check whether my data set fit with data records are fitting with my algorithm or not. So once it is fit, next okay, I'll try to train the model. Okay, and I'll try to fetch them. I'll try to train the model. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to pass my X test data and Y test data. Okay, to calculate the scores here. So after score, okay, what I have got here is, so next I'm going to display this one in ascending order. So all the score, nothing but the accuracy I'm going to store one by one here, random forest, etc., etc., by using the accuracy score technique. Scores I'm using here, have a look on this score. Okay, and I'm going to store that one in index here. Next is score frame. So next after fetching all the score, okay, the accuracy values, I'm going to have the table and I'm going to store all those accuracy value inside the table here. Okay, so since the final record is final value stored in scores frame, so I'm going to call that scores frame. Now you can see accuracy score is nothing but the label here. Okay, in ascending value I'm going to store here. It's pretty straightforward, simple one, simple the statement I have used here. Now next is, have a look on this. A random forest is giving me 71.62, that is almost 72%. KNN is also almost 71.33 it gives me. But when you compare random forest with KNN, it's better. Rest, Navier Bayes, okay, decision tree SVM is okay falling. Okay, it's giving me a very less accuracy here. We can do a lot of things here. Hyper parameter tuning we can perform. Okay, we can have k-fold technique. Okay, k-fold technique and take the subset of the record. Next, try to train the model. Okay, so we can do it. Yeah, just like our random forest algorithm, it try to divide the entire feature, some set of features it takes, and it try to have n number of models. Okay, so it try to, which is having the highest accuracy, that will be okay, the random forest will try to throw the output here. Next is in the same way. Next, visualization. I have created one bar chart using figure size of the figure, bar plots I am calling. Okay, in x-axis and y-axis I'm keeping accuracy score here, and rotation of the x tick is nothing but rotation of my labels here, variables here. Okay, so 45-degree I'm rotating it with the names. So now you can see here clearly in the visualization bar chart, random forest is having the highest accuracy. Okay, so now next is, since I don't want to go for again hyperparameter tuning, okay, but in my real time projects we have done it. Okay, and we have achieved around 82-85% of the accuracy, and we can do lot more here. Even if we can try with XGBoost algorithm. Okay, you can try with XGBoost, and there is a hope that we can have up to 95-96% of accuracy without overfitting and underfitting. Now next is problem. Next is, yeah, this is it. Next we have k-fold, as I told you. Okay, I have done some for some level I have done here k-fold cross validation. So you split the input data into k subset of the data. Okay, you train an ML model on all but one k1. So you take subset k1 you take. Similarly, you can have n number of subsets. Okay, evaluate the model on the subset that was not used for the trainings. Okay, so we can do it thus. I have done it, but even after performing k-fold, I got I have done this cross validation only for two algorithm here. One is for random forest, another is one KNN, because it was giving me the more accuracy. So k-fold technique I have done it, but even after performing k-fold, okay, I got the accuracy up to 71.42. Okay, and standard random forest standard deviation is this much. Similarly for the KNN also we got this much. So what I have decided to go with random forest. Okay, so what I have done, I have called two more library, joblib and pickle. If you want, you can have pickle or joblib, anyone. So I have converted that entire the random forest accuracy what we got into model, and I'm saving that one with the extension called SAV. This is the model name, finalized underscore model dot SAV. So I have dump, I'm using the method called dump, and my random forest is stored in RAN. You can see here RAN, where it is RAN, yeah, you can see here my model is in RAN now. So I'm calling that RAN, so I'm saving it. Okay, dump, yeah, and I'm opening the file in the format of WB. WB is nothing but write bytes. Okay, write bytes format. I'm opening the file that is nothing but a finalized model, and I'm storing that model in the form of WB. Suppose next if you want to predict again, so what I have done, same file I'm calling. Now the file that is finalized model is saved in file name, so I'm calling, but I'm opening that file in terms of RB. RB stands for read byte. Okay, and the results I'm displaying using the score method here. Have a look on this, load model. Okay, load model and score, and you just pass X test and Y test values, print the result, and it has given me around 71.62, which is nothing but 72% of accuracy I'm getting. Okay, so if any doubt, you can drop in comments, so I'll try to uh, reply. Now next is in the next the part, whatever the model we have designed here, we try to deploy this model using Django framework. Thank you very much. If you really like my video, please subscribe my channel. Thank you.